A warrior boy named Yuusuke Yotsuya takes on a squad of demon monsters, and then we see him in Tokyo. He seems bored at school, but admires Shindou, who is a cute class idol. One day, as he's questioned by his teacher, Yotsuya notices Shindou and Kusue Hakozaki disappear from sight, and then he is also transported to a fantasy land. He's greeted by the half-head game master and is briefed on a mission to fulfill the village chief's request within 14 days using additional team members. Shindou is the Wizard of Wind, Kusue is a sword warrior, but Yotsuya is made a farmer. It turns out that Shindou had already visited this place before and has been recruiting members to join her. Yotsuya is briefed about his weapons, but suddenly our heroes come across some goblins. They try to fight, but are quite useless in battle. Yotsuya dies but comes back to life in 30 seconds. Using this information, he sacrifices himself to kill a goblin, and the team completes their first mission. However, they also learn that they will die in real life if all three of them die in the game. Later at night, they are attacked by a fire troll that eats Kusue's arm and Shindou's head. After learning that eaten parts cannot regenerate, the survivors escape. But then they meet the village chief, who asks them to kill the monster, so Yotsuya goes to handle it alone. He runs into a log point, where he learns that Shindou might be interested in him, but loses the connection after that. He finds some goblins and takes them down, but misses one of the beasts. Then he learns that Kusue has died and sees that the village is under attack. Yotsuya rushes to the spot where a log point shows him how Kusue sacrificed herself to save a child. Yotsuya feels inspired but runs into the troll and is knocked away. An intense chase follows, and then Yotsuya kills the surviving goblin, thus achieving level 10. The game master arrives and allows him to choose a new job, and he becomes a chef this time. Luckily, he's able to see what the troll is made of and uses his kitchen knife to cut through its stomach. This revives the girls, and then the team unites to fight the demon. However, they are defeated repeatedly, so Yotsuya comes up with a plan to kill it using Shindou's wind powers, and they succeeded after he sacrifices himself. The game master appears again and ranks up the team, after which Yotsuya is allowed to ask a question. After some careful consideration, he asks what they are supposed to do after the 10th step of their mission. That's when the team is shown a visual where they are fighting a giant monster in the city and are brought back to the real world. As Yotsuya goes for a run, the game master calls him and orders him to flirt with a girl named Yuta Tokitate. He awkwardly enters the girl's washroom and finds Yuka getting bullied and recorded. Yotsuya saves his damsel in distress and learns that the bullies were trying to get back at Yuka for a streaming incident. He tries to flirt with her, but she gets awkward with him and leaves. Now the team goes back to the fantasy world, and this time, Yuka joins them as she becomes the Wizard of Heat. The game master tells the team that the revival time has increased, and they need to deliver some goods to Radodorbo in 40 days, while also completing 5% of the game map. Unfortunately for Yotsuya, Yuka thinks he's a creep and the others believe her. However, Shindou later confirms with Yuka that Yotsuya had indeed saved her from the bullies. Suddenly, the team is attacked by a demon bug, which is able to kill them using bug balls. Yuka uses this as a chance to use her fire powers, but she's just as weak as the others. Yotsuya is mad that the girls are still treating him like a creep, so he angrily attacks the bug and manages to cut off all its legs. After that, he unites with Kusue and uses her sword to kill the evil bug. A flashback shows Shindou's past with a girl named Sayuri, whom she had lost to a tragic incident. She wakes up from the nightmare and Yotsuya tries to console her, so she asks for his help. Shindou talks about her past and reveals that Sayuri had committed suicide due to constant bullying over her face. Now she begs Yotsuya to help her win this game, as she doesn't want to die here. He agrees, and then they head back to the village they saved, only to see it in ruins. Then they meet a man who reveals that Radodorbo is 30 days away from here if they use horses. He says that they can compete in a martial arts tournament in the nearby town of Courtenay, where the winners will get 3 horses. the team decides to level up for the tournament, but they get surrounded by a group of bandits. Yotsuya attacks them but loses experience because human combat is forbidden in the game. The wizards run away, but Shindou is kidnapped. The girls want to save her, but Yotsuya states that she will be saved anyway if they complete their mission. However, the girls decide to help Shindou while Yotsuya goes to train for the tournament. Kusue and Yuka are caught easily, so Yotsuya levels up to become the Wizard of Creatures. He takes on a girl knight named Cavil in a tournament duel but loses instantly. Cavil seems to like Yotsuya, so she offers him to give him a horse if he helps her defeat the bandits who have kidnapped the girls. She trains her new disciple fiercely, and then she attacks the bandits with her army. Our heroes dominate the villains, but then an overpowered berserker is released. Cavil takes out the Sword of Annihilation and fights the beast but is easily defeated. Luckily, Yotsuya uses his creature powers to distract the berserker long enough for Cavil to kill it. The girls are freed, and then Cavil offers to guide the horses to Radodorbo if they allow her to train them. Now we see Kusue reflect on her past, where she wasn't allowed to participate in physical classes due to her medical condition. The team takes a break and sets up a camp, where Yotsuya feeds soup to the soldiers using his chef skills. Cavil decides to begin training and is absolutely ruthless with her students. We also see that Yotsuya had gained healing abilities. Later, the wizards are confronted by goblins, and everyone puts up a good fight, with even Kusue managing to kill one of them. The team runs into a brief obstacle when the carriage gets stuck, but Yotsuya helps the others out of it. Then they find some innocent people getting attacked by werewolves, and Kusue insists on saving them, so the others join in. The werewolf monsters are too powerful for our wizards, and even Yotsuya's creature powers aren't enough to stop them. Luckily, Kusue gets inspired and summons a long sword at the last moment to kill one of the werewolves, while Cavil finishes off the last one after Yotsuya tricks it. The wizards learn that the victims are from the kingdom of Dok and are going to visit Radodorbo with some convicts. However, the prisoners include a little boy named Belili, so Yotsuya questions the mission. Vice Corporal Camilto belittles Cavil, and they are about to get into a fight, but Shindou stops them. Meanwhile, Yotsuya heals Belili, after which Yuka suggests saving the victims after delivering them to Radodorbo. Now one of the prisoners named Fofsel tells the team about the prohibited religion of Artartos, which is why they are being executed. In the night, Camilto explains that King Dok V genuinely wants to spread good, but believes that the Artartos religion is evil. Yuka calls him out for his ways, and Camilto gets offended, but Yotsuya calms them down. Time starts to run out, so our heroes continue their quest till they come across a shortcut under a cave. But then they are locked and tied by Camilto. With no other choice, our heroes decide to overcome all the obstacles on their way out. Unfortunately, Yotsuya gets trapped when he's crushed by a moving wall. The girls figure the timing of the trap and get out of the room safely, but abandon Yotsuya on their way. Then they reach an arena where they find an overpowered gargoyle monster that awakens from its slumber. Meanwhile, Yotsuya figures a way out of his trap after restarting his life multiple times. However, he also finds the dead body of his comrade Bimspur. Now, the gargoyle sets its demon bats loose on the team. Cavil spots a key on the monster, but is defeated quite easily as she fights the gargoyle. It's about to attack Shindou, but she accidentally steps on a bat and levels up to become a sword warrior. She tries to use the advantage to kill the gargoyle, but its skin is too tough for her. Shindou is barely able to keep up, but then she notices a weak spot and attacks the beast straight in the head. Yotsuya makes his way to the team, only to see the gargoyle defeated, so he immediately dives into the water to save Cavil. He uses all his energy to heal her wounds, so Cavil gives him a kiss while he's passed out. The girls peek in on their romance and bond with Cavil after that. Now Yotsuya wakes up and realizes the real objective of the mission. He believes that goods could mean anything and not just the prisoners, so he suggests splitting up into two groups. Yotsuya, Yuka, and Cavil join Team B to save the prisoners, while Kusue, Yuka, and Makua become Team A. Yotsuya comes up with a plan, but Yuka calls him a demon king for suggesting something evil. Later, as Camilto discusses killing the prisoners, Yotsuya appears. He lies about everyone else dying apart from him, and Yuka threatens to breach Artertos using his immortality if the prisoners aren't released. Yuka shows up by herself after that, and tells Kamilto that he can trap Yotsuya while he's asleep. Kamilto seems to fall for it, but takes Yuka as his prisoner instead. However, he is shocked to see that Yotsuya has mercilessly killed the convicts by burning them alive, and then Yuka states that they were just messing with him for revenge. Our heroes make their escape after creating a distraction, and then we see a flashback where they use dolls to fake the dead bodies in front of the villains. Later, Yuka questions Yotsuya over his tactics, but he reasons that they must focus on clearing the mission if they really want to survive as a team. Kamilto laments his failures and reports it to the king with a messenger chicken, but Cavil shows up and kills him to avenge Bimsburg. The king learns about this and hires an assassin to deal with the heroes. Meanwhile, Yotsuya bonds with Balili, while the others ride the carriage. Cavil tries to confess her feelings to Yotsuya, but the baby boy gets in her way. Yuka tries to get the both of them alone in the carriage, but the couple falls asleep. Later, she forces the lovebirds to duel, but Cavil shifts her focus to Yuka and messes up her plan. Now Team A finds a delivery cargo headed for Radodorbo and try to apprehend it, but are attacked. Luckily, Shindou overpowers her opponent rather easily. At night, Cavil and Yotsuya are finally alone together, but she simply thanks him for all his efforts, after which she falls asleep. This upsets Yuka, who wanted them to become boyfriend and girlfriend. Team B reaches Radodorbo and offers the severed heads of the goons, which turn out to be the goods they needed to bring, so the mission is cleared. Now the team decides to split up to cover 5% of the map. They get close and also have enough time to spare, but it suddenly starts to snow. The conditions begin to get rough, and then we see Cavil, who is fantasizing about Yotsuya. The wizard boy begins to struggle in the snow and tries his best to keep himself warm. Meanwhile, Yuka fantasizes about a prince named Tsubasa saving her from the snow, like in a fairy tale. Shindou and Kusue also think back to past memories for motivation to carry on. The distance begins to shorten, but Kusue passes out from the extreme cold. Yotsuya fears that his team won't be able to make it, but refuses to give up, even though Yuka and Kusue have stopped moving. To make matters worse, he's attacked by a giant Cyclops monster. He takes it on in an intense battle and manages to overpower it despite the blizzard. He finds the babies of the monster, but leaves them behind as he believes this is just a virtual reality world. Then he falls down an empty pit and dies. Now we see the Majiha sisters facing the overpowered demon King Lukifel, who unleashes darkness thunder upon them. Majiha Purple is apprehended, but Majiha Pink refuses to abandon her sister and creates a bond with her. They use their Crimson Fire Blast as a finisher move and defeat the devil. This just turns out to be a fantasy dream playing out in Yuka's head. Luckily, her being alive allows Yotsuya to revive inside a secret dungeon where he's able to keep himself warm. Unfortunately, Kusue dies and the team members are alerted. Shindou spots a village and rushes towards it, but cracks some ice and falls into the water. She dies as well, and then Yotsuya comes across a dead end. A monster worm appears in front of him and clears away underground, but it keeps pooping on its way. And then a demon worm attacks them. Yotsuya is eaten alive, so there's no means of revival for him either. Yuka is informed of his death and uses this as an excuse to give up. However, she sees a vision of Majiha Purple, who refers to her as Majiha Pink, and this motivates her to awaken her fire blast. She is tempted by a vision of her Prince Charming, and then she runs into a female wizard who gives her a lift on her tiger spirit. She uses her wind powers to help them cover the rest of the map right before the timer runs out, so our heroes are finally reunited. The Game Master asks Yuka for a question, and she wants to know if this is a virtual reality world. However, the wizards are shocked to learn that they are the virtual beings in a parallel world. Yotsuya panics as he realizes that he's killed an actual person. The team goes back in the real world, and Yotsuya is unable to deal with what he's just done. The girls worry for him, as he has not spoken to them since the incident as well. One day, the Game Master asks Yotsuya for his honest feelings after killing a man. He can't understand what's happening, and it gets weird when he sees the game master in the form of a little girl. Yotsuya confesses that killing the villain was a mistake, and then she takes him to a Chinese restaurant where she reveals that the new player named Toriketa will appear with his brother Shuji to kill a Yakuza dealer. Yotsuya stops them from doing so and takes on his opponents in a lengthy encounter. Tori's employer tries to shoot Yotsuya, but then the game master gives him his power glove that allows him to use his creature magic to stop the Yakuza boss and take him down. Now as we see the girls spending time with friends and family, Yotsuya and the game master have an intense conversation about the value of life. However, it looks like our hero is slowly turning into a villain. And that's the end of Season 1. Like, share, and subscribe if you want to see Season 2 as well. Hit the bell icon for regular notifications. See you!